Okay, good people, good late afternoon or early evening for some of you. And the Seahawks had a practice today, and we do have some stuff to talk about. Not as much as usual, because quite frankly, it was a light practice day, which makes sense. We had a game not that long ago. You don't want to be driving the guys into the dirt this early. We haven't even played a real game yet. We are about a month away from our first actual football game. We do not need to be driving these guys into the dirt quite yet, but we did have a practice today. Mostly seems like it was a walkthrough. That doesn't mean we didn't learn anything. We definitely learned some stuff. There was some interesting information, mostly pertaining to injuries, mostly pertaining to players that are trying to get their way back out onto the field. Let's take a look at what we did get from the beat reporters. It's not a, excuse me, it's not a massive amount of information, but it gives us something to work with as we get the next week started and move into week 2 of the preseason soon here. First, the good news: Oluwatimi was back practicing. He, by the way, this is our 14th training camp session of the year so far, so this is number 14, and he was back on the field, which is the good news. Now, there was some bad news coupled with this, and we'll get to that in just 1 second here. Of course, Oluwatimi missed 2 days of practice last week, and then he missed the preseason opener with a back issue. So the good news is he was back out on the field. The bad news is he didn't finish the practice. His back tightened up, and he went back inside before practice was over. Now, the good news baked into the bad news is that McDonald called it a precaution, and they believe he'll be back practicing in the next day or two. And this isn't Pete Carroll saying this, right? Pete Carroll was a guy who was very, very optimistic about injury stuff to the point where it was hard to trust him. This is McDonald. He's got his own language that he's going to be using. He's got his own way of speaking. And I think that when he says it's not a big deal, I'm more inclined to believe him. Maybe over time that will change. But for the moment, I look at this and I go, okay, it's not a big deal. But it's certainly not optimal. You would have preferred that he finished the day. You would have preferred that he got through the session, and didn't happen. Okay, so that's what's going on there. That's really the main development today in terms of something on the field. Oluwatimi started the day but didn't finish the day. Some good news here with Shaq. He was back practicing. He did not practice at all these last couple of weeks. He had missed 11 in a row, 11 sessions in a row. And I think he showed up for a 12th but didn't actually do anything. Now he's doing stuff. He's got a long way to go to ramp up to the point where he can actually have a real shot at getting playing time for this team, maybe even making it. But this is how the journey starts. Okay, that's the Shaq Griffin update. Ernest Jones is away from the team again for a little bit, but we know why. It has nothing to do with an injury. It's a family thing. He is back home in Georgia for his father's funeral, and he's expected back in the next day or two. Obviously, Ernest Jones has been away from the team for a decent chunk of camp so far, and it seems like this is why. This is the reason why, going back to the last couple of weeks. So he will be back, and it's not like a knee thing. It's not an injury situation. Nothing to be alarmed about on that front. Obviously, he's going through something pretty tough here. And it's not like he needs training camp. It's not like he needs practice. He's a veteran. He was on the team last year. This is definitely a situation where you got to give the guy the time that he needs. And he'll be there when we need him. So not worried about anything super long-term here. And hopefully he will be back soon. And hopefully he does what he needs to do to get past this difficult time in his life. Some compliments from McDonald on Gray Zabel. He executed at a high level, just like he's been doing in practice. And the reason why I brought this tweet up, even though it's not really telling us anything super detailed, the thing that I want to bring up here is Gray Zabel actually got featured in a breakdown from Brian Baldinger on NFL Network. You can find it on X. Go check it out. It's not often a Seahawks interior offensive lineman gets featured in a Baldinger breakdown. He's usually looking at other teams for interior line play. But he was very complimentary of Zabel's first preseason game. I think that is the general consensus. He looked really good. And we have every reason to believe right now that Gray Zabel is going to be the left guard now and down the line. And that's exciting because we have not had great play at that position in a while. And Zabel could very easily and very quickly become the best left guard we've had since, I don't want to go all the way back to Steve Hutchinson, but honestly, it wouldn't be that hard for Zabel to meet and surpass the standard that has been put there ever since. Like James Carpenter maybe is up there as far as left guards go. It's tough, right? It's tough to find guys that you're really complimentary of at that position. But check that out, Baldinger. And we also got some stuff about the competition on the offensive line at the other positions on the interior. Anthony Bradford taking first-team reps right now at right guard, but McDonald is not yet giving him the position full bore. He wants to see another game before making a decision. And he said basically the same thing about the competition at center between Oluwatimi and Jalen Sundell. Now, this does kind of invite a couple of thoughts. Number one, I think, is this reflects the fact that neither guy, Oluwatimi or Bradford, are running away with the competition. I mean, to me, I don't think Bradford looked terrible in the preseason game, but I don't think he really looked good. Probably more bad than good, if we're being honest. There are some real problems there, and I can understand why the coaches don't want to just give it to him. I can't imagine another scenario at this point, but I can understand why they want to indicate that, hey, this is not some situation where he ran away with it. He's more so getting handed it by default. And that is definitely frustrating because right guard is a position the Seahawks have actually made sizable investments into. 3rd round pick on Haynes, 4th round pick on Bradford, even a 6th round pick on Lomea. This is not nothing that we've invested here. This is not a situation where we can point to the front office and say, you haven't paid attention to this position. They have. These guys just aren't giving us what we were hoping we would get. And that says nothing about the time investment into trying to develop these guys. And center, I think, is a little bit more clinical. I think the center thing is more or less just, well, Oluwatimi's been hurt for the last couple of practices, so how can he possibly be given the win in the competition yet? Makes sense. I can't imagine anything else happening. I didn't think Sundell looked all that good on Thursday. And Oluwatimi is the guy with more experience. He's the guy who has generally been kind of the default assumed starter. But it is worth noting they're not given to him yet, which is not encouraging, right? You'd like to have some kind of understood settlement on the offensive line by now. But so it is. So be it. We also got some interesting information on Tyrese Knight. It's not... I don't know if it's bad, but it's a little bit cryptic. Tyrese Knight is getting close with his knee injury, but is also working through a separate medical condition that will hold him out. McDonald did not expand on what the medical issue is, but he never called it an injury. He kept referring to it as a medical issue, and it's unrelated to the knee. And I don't know. I'm not sure what to make of that. Now, the good news is Knight is expected to be back by the season opener. So maybe he misses most of the preseason and then he gets back for the first game, which, okay, that's fine, I guess. He is a younger player. It's not ideal, but it is fine, I suppose, would be the right way to put it. But it's a little bit cryptic, and I'm not totally entirely sure what to make of it. The implication is that it's something that's maybe embarrassing, and McDonald doesn't want to embarrass Knight, wants to keep it private. I don't know. What do you? If anybody has any theories down below, let me know. But I'm not sure what to make of this, really. We also got this on Uchenna Nwosu. There's no firm update, but he is kicking butt in his rehab routine. The fact that we still don't have any kind of a timetable tells me that we still might be a ways out, and I think that we can now start to expect Nwosu to miss the start of the regular season. I think a lot of people were already in that mental headspace with him, but I think it's now safe to assume that he's not going to be out there week 1, which I guess it was kind of expected. I guess it was kind of anticipated that this was probably going to be the case, but it's still frustrating, right? It's still definitely frustrating. it feels like maybe things were a little bit underestimated with this when we were making the decisions we made in the off season. Hard to know, but it's hard to not be frustrated here. Also present at the training camp session today was Marshon Lynch, freelance photographer, former NFL great. So it was pretty cool to get to see him out there chatting up. He chatted it up with McDonald for about half an hour. Pretty cool. He's looking a little bit, I don't know, he's looking a little bit on the heavier side these days, which I guess is kind of expected. But what I'm trying to say is that don't expect to be able to get Marshon Lynch off the couch in December and January for a playoff run this year. We've done that before, but I don't think that's happening this year. I don't think that's going to be on the table. Okay, that's really about it from camp today. Again, quiet day, mostly just injury updates. Mixed bag of results for sure. But I think that the indication is that other than Nwosu, things are going to be set up well by the time we get to the real games. Okay, everyone, have a great rest of your afternoon or evening, and I'll be on Twitch later tonight. Go Hawks.